Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be meeting Eric right here, and Eric actually owns over 1,200 ATMs like the one behind us right here, and Eric has been in the business since 1995.
That's right.
We're going to break down his entire business model, how he got to where he's at, if the ATM business is still going to be around in 10 or 20 years. We're going to break all that down in the video right now. Eric, I really appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you, Austin.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
And we actually used to be business partners for anybody watching the video to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And we had quite a few ATMs ourselves back in the day, yeah.
I want to say you had over 20.
Yeah, we did, if not more, for sure. And we loaded a bunch too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your former partner actually still has maybe 5 or 6 still going.
Does he? Wow, very cool, man. Well, Eric, you're awesome, dude. I appreciate you being here for the video. So talk to me about the machine that we have right here. What kind of machine is that?
That's a Gin Mega 2500, old, reliable, great machine, you know?
Yeah.
As you can see, it's taken some hits, it's dirty. The environment that we're in is a rodeo in Phoenix, Arizona. The heat, as y'all know, can get up to 121 degrees. And this machine's been here for at least 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
And haven't had one problem other than it runs out of cash, or it'll lose internet connection with the DPL or op connect, or who, you know, sometimes there's whatever, you have to switch them out.
You own an ATM company now called ATM One, and you guys do a bunch of different stuff, right? You don't just own ATMs anymore, but you do a lot of different things, and we're gonna actually talk about in just a minute, you know, how you're actually able to monetize an ATM aside from just the actual ATM itself, right? And things like advertising on an ATM and things of that nature, which I know, you know, a lot of people are gonna be really interested in, especially going into 2023, right? And, you know, advertising is obviously really big. I'm curious, before we jump into that, you know, what would it take for somebody to get into the ATM business? If they're watching the video, like, how much of an investment would it actually take to get involved?
Really, their time and energy. I mean, if a guy has nothing but wants to do it, and he goes and finds a particular good spot, and the owner agrees to let him put that in there, that's what that person invested in that. We can finance him and do the rest. If another person, that same person, has a couple grand and they want to buy the ATM and they want to do it themselves, great for them. Then they can do that and operate that.
Got it. So for somebody watching, the best place to start really might be just finding a good location.
Absolutely.
And actually locking that location down, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a misconception out there that people think that they have to have like 20, 30, 40, or 50 grand to get an ATM, because they think they have to buy the ATM, they have to load the ATM with their own cash, they've got to do all of these different things. And you're basically saying right now that all they really need to do is get a location. They can find a guy like you that you'll either bring your own cash, or you'll find a guy that can bring his own cash to the deal, and they could basically have a hands-free type of operation.
Yeah, as long as the store is allowing us to use their internet and obviously their power, we're easy to work with. You know?
Yeah.
There might be an extra cost like a modem installed with the machine, but even so, if a guy picks a good spot that's doing, you know, say averaging 10 transactions a day, 300 transactions a month, then yeah, we'll do that.
Is that a pretty good spot, about 300?
That's where you want to be. I mean, it's kind of high maybe. I think across the board, the average may be a little lower, maybe like 198 to 212 transactions a month. Basically on our portfolio, I would say. I haven't checked that in a long time, but it's probably around that on a national average.
Sure. Yeah, 198 to 212. That's pretty
say,
specific. So.
I would say that's pretty right across the board in our portfolio. You may have other guys have super crazy portfolios with casinos or stuff. Their numbers might be average. But if you can do around 300 transactions a month, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, you really are. Yeah. And I mean, even if you had your own ATM that you purchased for $2,500, you got the location and you were putting your own cash in it. I mean, if you did 200 transactions a month at an average of $3 a transaction in surcharge, I mean, your ROI would be pretty good on that, would it not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is called Harold's Country Bar.
Harold's Country Bar.
Cave Creek, Arizona.
Cave Creek, man.
Yeah,
and you got a location across the road.
Yeah.
And then you got another location just right down the road.
Yeah.
You got into the ATM business when I was born in 1995.
Yeah, 1995.
Yeah. And what made you get into the business?
Well, I just saw the need where, as a consumer at the time, I was like 30 years old. And when I was like, 25, 26, and you're at a bar, when you ran out of money, you had to get in your car and go find an ATM. And I saw that as a need. And so like me and other people that got into the business back in the early 90s were like pioneers for getting all the ATMs that are off premise in the country.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of people on the internet right now, a lot of people watching the video on YouTube that are thinking to themselves, you know, Eric, it's 2023, right?
Right.
And, you know, in a decade, there won't be a need for an ATM anymore. Like, what do you have to say to that type of person?
Well, I've been hearing that for, 10 years. And, like lately with the crypto and everything, everybody always wants, at least that I notice, when they sell their crypto or whatever, they're always trying to get cash for it. They're always wanting to go back to cash.
Yeah.
No matter what, they always want cash. They don't want more crypto or gold or whatever. People want cash.
Yep. And in your ATMs, you can actually buy cryptocurrency, but you were saying that people really don't do that. They're still just pulling out cash.
They really are.
Yeah.
Small percentage will buy, LibertyX, Bitcoin, one of the vendors we use. But primarily, no, not really.
Cash isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I think people think that it is. It kind of sounds good to say that it is, but I mean, from everything I can tell, I mean, people are still using cash all the time.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Here, what kind of ATM is that?
This is a Hyosung 2700.
Okay.
One of our favorite ones. It's got the flat top, excellent design. It's like the Cadillac Workhorse.
Yeah.
In its day, it's retired now. They don't make them anymore. The Halo 2 took over the 2700.
Got it. What do you think about the Hyosung or the Yosung versus the Gen Mega?
Gen Mega and Hyosung are a lot of the same, really good. I like them much better than the Tritons.
Yeah.
Or some of the other brands that, these are all just entry-level ATMs, all you need.
Yep.
And our atmosphere that we put the ATMs in.
Sure, yeah. And what does something like that run? I mean, obviously they don't make that one in particular anymore, but a Yosung Halo 2.
Yeah, new Gen Mega Yosung's gonna be cost anywhere from $21.95 to $28.95, depending on what model. What you get.
And can somebody get it shipped directly to their house, or how do you actually buy one of those?
What we like to do is we get the people's paperwork, we ship it directly from the factory to the location. That way, when our tech or them get to the location, it's there. They're not putting it in the back of a vehicle or trying to figure out how to get it there.
Yeah. We used to do a lot of that. We used to put them in the back of our Prius.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, we'd have two of these things right in the Prius.
I mean, it is good if you have a truck or something that you can put an ATM to ship it to your place. You program it so when you get there, you're ready to go.
Sure. Yeah. And how many bills does an ATM like this hold?
This one holds approximately 1,600 bills.
Cool.
That's about the max it'll hold.
1,600.
This one, yeah.
And that's one cassette or multiple?
They call
cassettes?
that a 2K, a 1K cassette. They think it'll hold like 2,000 notes, but it really doesn't. Only really holds about 1,600.
Got it. Okay.
So you can get them, 4K. A 2K will hold about 36,000, and then you can have it set up to hold up to 4 cassettes.
Yep.
And in each cassette will hold 2,000 notes.
Sure, yeah. And obviously you wouldn't need to do that unless you were at a location with extremely high transactions,
Casinos or tracks or something like that.
Yeah. We used to do a park and swap.
Yeah, park and
swap. And
swap.
we would go through probably 2 cassettes in a day.
Yeah.
Clear full of bills. Do you remember that?
Park and Swap now has about 8 machines, and they'll go through 160 grand on a weekend.
Yeah, I love it.
One location.
One location. How does somebody get internet on a machine where it's just kind of out in the middle of an open area?
Right. Well, there's a couple devices, wireless devices you can use. The DPL is really good. Hercules DPL is one of our favorite. Op Connect, just different brands. Wireless Store.
And you can just go and buy that device on the internet.
Yeah. You can. They usually like it if you go through a distributor, but you can contact them direct and buy one. They're anywhere from $0 and a lease cost of $20 a month.
Cool.
Or you can buy the device. I think we're $150 and have a payment around $5-6 a month.
Okay. So in an ideal world, then, if you didn't want the device to eat into the profit margin of the ATM, you would want to hardwire the ATM with Ethernet, correct?
Yes.
We're standing out here in front of the Hideaway Grill.
Yep.
And we just went in there. We had a great conversation with everybody in there. You've got an ATM in there. Talk to me about, now we've been to a couple locations today, obviously. You own over 1,200 locations. What is your best type of location? You were saying that when they do Bike Week here, the company will do like over $1 million during Bike Week. How much does the ATM make during a week like that?
Bike Week, it'll do like over 100 transactions a day.
Wow.
even 200 a day.
And what is the surcharge?
At $5.
At a $5 surcharge.
$5
Wow.
surcharge, yeah.
And is that a high surcharge? I mean,
that kind of is, but they figure, you're here. You have all the vendors are cash only. All this turns into vendors. You have leather vendors, all clothing vendors, motorcycle parts, every kind of vendor you can imagine.
Yeah.
This whole thing is rode out with vendors are everywhere. And everybody's cash only.
What is the average surcharge on an ATM? Obviously, we're talking about $5 here, but across all of the ATMs that you have, would you say there's an average?
$3 is probably still the average.
The average.
But it's coming up. A lot of places are going to $4 or $3.50. But yet you still have those places that are still under $2.
Yeah. What's your favorite type of location? Of all the ones that you own, I mean, we've been to a lot of bars, a lot of grills. I know back when I used to be in the ATM business, we had a lot of barber shops and do you have kind of a favorite type of location?
Casinos, strip clubs, high volume locations, anything's high volume or you need a lot of money.
Is it hard to get? I mean, for people watching right now, they're like, yeah, Eric, that's cool and all, but there ain't no way I could ever get a strip club or a casino. You've been in the business since 1995. How am I ever going to do that? Would you have any advice to somebody maybe of how they could eventually get a good location like that?
Well, there's other locations besides those are just primo, but
yeah,
you'd be surprised. There's still a lot of great locations. Still a lot of barber shops, nail salons. You know what else are Mexican tire shops? Where a lot of the Mexican tire shops, they only take cash. Believe it or not, some of those places will do 15, 20 days, especially on Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
They sell a lot of tires and everybody's cash only.
Wow.
So I've been noticing my guys that load these. I have 3 or 4 guys in Phoenix that load certain say 20 of these different Mexican tire shops, and they'll run out of money on the weekends all the time.
Holy cow.
Yeah, they do well.
Go out there and get yourself a Mexican tire shop.
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying the business tour so far. Really quick, if you wouldn't mind, if you know of a business that you think would be a really cool tour, or if you own a business that you would like to get featured, all you have to do is text 480-418-5339, the word business, okay? Again, 480-418-5339, the word business, and we'll see if you qualify or if the business qualifies for us to go ahead and tour it. Now let's just go ahead and get back to the tour. So Eric, you obviously are making money multiple different ways running an ATM business, right? And I think when a lot of people think of the ATM business, the only thing that they think about is the surcharge, right?
That's right.
But talk to me a little bit about how you're monetizing the ATM industry past just the surcharge. You actually are known for putting a little, almost like a computer monitor on top of your ATM machines, and they actually are playing ads all the time.
That's
so
right.
Talk to me about that business. How did you get involved in that, and what exactly is it?
What it is it's programmatic advertising. It's true programmatic. In 2008, Twyla and I started ATM advertising, and then in 2018 we started ATM Advertising Alliance. We teamed up with Russell Pandina and some other people, and we have this true programmatic advertising that comes up through perpetual media and runs a platform where you don't have to sell anything. ATM guys do not like to sell advertising. They like to sell ATMs and deal with ATMs. This is simply plug and play. You plug it in and it starts playing ads. And then a great benefit to that is there's also what we call static screens, where it holds up to 10 ads that you can write. You can put, advertise your company. But whatever you want, and you can monetize on that yourself.
Got it.
We let you keep 90% of whatever you charge the client to run ads on your screens.
Okay, so I really want to break that down a little bit for people watching, because I really like the idea of what you're talking about, and I want people to really grasp how powerful that could be, right? Because somebody could go buy an ATM, okay, for $2,500 or whatever, right? They get a location, or they work with somebody like you. Either way, however they do it, right? But nonetheless, they end up with an ATM, and on top of the monthly surcharge that they're making, they can go to a guy like you, or you, right, your company, and they can install that screen on top of the ATM, which will show everybody, right?
Right.
And not only will they get paid by all the companies you're saying that are already advertising on that, like that individual that owns that ATM will get paid on a monthly basis, correct?
Yep. This place, what we do is we run their ads for free. We just put their ads on there for free, but what we'll do is we'll say, hey, you want to advertise here? Call Austin. And people will call Austin, we'll have a QR code there and show them how they can advertise here. People call you, hey Austin, I'm a painter. I live here locally. I saw your machine at the Roadrunner. I want to advertise there. How much?
Yeah.
What I normally say is, well, do you want to just be here or do you want to be all over the city? And then they usually say, well, how much would that cost? And I just say, what's your budget? Whatever they say their budget is, $50, $100, $200. I just say, I times it by 10. I say, it's, let's say they say $50. They say, okay, it's $500 for the year. I'll give you 10 months for $500. Give you 2 months free. We'll design the ad. We'll create the QR code.
Yep.
And there you go.
Got it. And it's a great additional stream of income
Yeah.
for the guy who owns the ATM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How that would work is the guy who sold that would make basically 90% of the $500. Was that $450?
Yeah.
So you'd make $450 off of a 5-second phone call, and we do the rest. This is right now today. There's 200 users on the platform.
Wow.
So we basically have 200 customers.
Okay.
Which represents about 6,385 locations. And so far today, we've requested 2.7 million requests.
And what does that mean?
That's how many times our players nationwide have requested ads.
Got it.
Today.
Okay.
And the day is like 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. So the day is almost over. We got 4 more hours.
Got it. Okay. And I mean, it's just truly an incredible business model. How could somebody go about getting involved in that and putting that on top? Like, let's say somebody's watching, they're either trying to get their first ATM or maybe they already own 10 or 15 ATMs. How could they get involved?
It's really easy. Just give us a call. Go to our website. Just give us a call, and it's really simple. Basically, we get people started by just sending me a text of their full name, address, email, and phone number of the location they're wanting to put up. We do a Google search of it. If it goes by our criteria, which everybody pretty much does.
Sure.
And we send it out, and there you go.
And would you say it's safe to assume that if somebody put a topper on top of their ATM, that they could double the ROI on that ATM by just adding the marketing piece to it?
No, I wouldn't give it that much credit. You can pretty much count on at least really a minimum of $1 a day, so $30 a month. That's if you do nothing, you just plug it in.
That's if you don't sell anybody ad placement.
That's just if you just plug it in and walk away.
Got it.
Okay. So, but we say that, but there's many places that do make over $100 a month.
Got it.
The only thing we can tell you of how do I get my ATM how do I get my topper to make that much money is really the better the internet and the better the location geographically you are in the country. Everybody thinks, oh, New York City and Los Angeles, oh, those are probably the best. Really, they're kind of right. LA, Southern California, basically all of California, the whole West Coast monetizes more than the East Coast for some reason. I'm not sure, even all the way into Texas. But we have thousands of machines across the country, and the best are like our region, Southwest,
Sure.
California really does well.
Wow, I love that. Truly phenomenal for somebody to be able to get involved in that. So I think a couple of concerns for people is, number one, finding a bank, right, to bank with you. In the ATM business, it can be hard to find a bank. And then number two, processing, right? Because that ATM has to be hooked up to some sort of software, right? So that when you're at home, at your office, you can actually see how many transactions that ATM's doing, correct? So what are the softwares that you personally would recommend to somebody?
Well, it's not really a software, it's a platform. You have Columbus Data, First ISO, many more. There's a lot of processors. The main thing is you want to go with an ATM company that's their own ISO.
Okay, and what does that mean?
That means ISO stands for Independent Sales Organization. That's bank sponsored, that's hooked up directly with whatever processor you may go with.
Got it.
I give my clients a couple different choices they can go with, but a lot of people may be under an ISO like me and then have their own company, and then they find their own clients and they say, hey, go under me and do this. That's mostly how it's done.
They're almost like white labeling.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but we are ATM One VMS. We are an ISO. We have been since 1995.
Gotcha. Okay. So just so I understand, and anybody watching understands, they would need to go with like a Columbus Data or somebody like that, and you, or just you?
That's what I'm saying. Whoever they're with, like when you go with ATM One, you're going with a company that's direct as an ISO. We are an ISO. That's one thing you kind of want to research, Like if you're looking around for ATM companies, you want to ask that person, are you an ISO? And they'll probably say no, but I go through Kahuna or go through whoever to be my gateway to get into whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And all that platform is responsible for is actually processing the transactions. When I walk over to that ATM over there and I put my card in there and I want to take out $20, that platform, your platform or somebody else's platform, is responsible for processing that between that ATM and the customer's bank, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah. So when somebody uses an ATM, just to keep it really simple for people, and if I go to pull $20 out of that ATM, right? And the surcharge is $3, right? It'll debit $23 from my bank. You'll make $3, and then I'll get my 20 out of the ATM, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then that $20 that I pull out, then it'll get deposited into your bank account, a week later?
No, you're talking about for the commission? That we actually get that on about the 8th, the 10th of the month, usually from our processors.
Got it, okay.
And then we send out on the 10th of the month.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah. And what would you recommend for people watching, like, do you think they should try to load their own ATM, or should they hire a loader?
It's better monetarily for them to do it all themselves. They'll make the most money that way if they can. If they can still load it themselves and like team up with a friend or whoever and say, hey, all you really need to load an ATM is a couple grand. You don't need a lot of money. Yep. I mean, even if you're at a really busy place, you could actually physically take a couple grand and load it every couple days back in the machine, I mean, if it's doing that many transactions with a good surcharge, it's worth it to do it.
Yeah, sure.
And that's how a lot of guys have to start in the beginning when they're just bootstrapping this from, really no money. And you can really start this business with no money and have a lot of money in a few months.
Yeah. Yeah, when I used to do the ATMs, I remember basically the only reason you would put like a ton of cash in the ATM is if you didn't want to go back for a while.
Exactly.
Right?
Unless you have busy places.
Sure.
Like I remember you guys actually had some really busy places that would blaze through cash, 40 grand a weekend, no big deal.
Yeah, we did. We had a couple places that we had to put, a minimum of 40 grand in a weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we would make really good money on that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and those places we had to go every single week and reload them.
Right.
Obviously, right?
Right.
I think in the beginning it's actually fairly easy to load them yourselves, but when you get to 5 or 10, 15 ATMs, the bank can start giving you problems and things like that, right?
Yeah, you have other issues. That's why I was talking about it's good to make sure we go with a company that's an ISO because they'll have better banking relationships and can solve problems. Whereas some guy off the street that's just kind of working under 2 or 3 guys levels down from a company like me, they'll not be getting the service they could if they just would have went with somebody like me to be honest.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Got it. So they should almost, if they were buying an ATM and trying to do it right, they should almost talk to somebody like you before they even set up a bank account for their ATM business. That way, somebody like you could recommend the bank that they should go bank with.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so they would know, I can go bank with fill in the blank bank, and then they can go set up a meeting with that bank and actually open a checking account, right?
Yep.
Got it.
It is difficult. You go into a bank, the normal big banks, and you start trying to run ATM transactions. They'll flag you.
They'll shut you down.
They'll shut you down.
Yeah.
Relatively quickly.
Yep.
And then the person that sold you the ATM or sold you the route said, "Oh, well, sorry. I'm sorry about that."
Yeah.
Where we don't operate like that. We hold your hand the whole way through. Because if you're not making money, we're not making money.
Sure. So Eric, out of curiosity, do you think that if somebody were looking at the business, in 2023, do you think it's even worth potentially looking at like a small route to actually buy where locations and machines already come with a particular route, or is it not worth doing it?
I think it would. I think it's case by case. Sometimes, you could get some deals. People are legit, and you could buy. People retiring. They can give you the evidence. The couple years of proof. Then why not?
And what would you be looking for to know if a route is actually legit?
What I do is we study the couple years data just on all the transactions, basically.
Yeah.
Go look at the place, make sure the owner's on good terms with the guy who's currently there, and that's pretty much how we do it.
Do you typically have a contract with every location, or do you let them if they want out of the deal, do you let them out of the deal?
We do have contracts, but there are clauses in there that if they're unhappy, then they can do a 60-day out. Performance clauses and things like that.
Sure, yeah. And I'd imagine you also want the ability to get out of a deal if the machine's not doing enough transactions, I'd assume, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what is that threshold where you would, in your experience, you would say, hey, it's not even worth having an ATM there if it doesn't do minimum fill in the blank?
Yeah, if it doesn't do at least 3 to 5 a day, then it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Okay.
It's not worth it.
So a guy needs to do at least 3 to 5 transactions a day with the ATM. Otherwise, it's probably not worth it.
It isn't. No.
Got it. Okay.
Your liability's too much.
1,000,000%. And while we're on the topic of liability, do you recommend that if people are to get started in the industry, do they need any sort of insurance? Do they need to bolt the machine to the ground? Like, how do they protect themselves?
Well, they should actually start an LLC at least at minimum, and protect yourself, get insured in business insurance. Because, you never know when you could be doing this and you turn around and you break a window or you break something or something happens.
Right.
You're going to wish you had insurance.
Sure.
So, and you can't get that kind of insurance without having a business. So you need to get business insurance.
So you need to get an LLC
You should
and then
really
get business insurance.
You really should.
Yeah. Awesome.
And it's not that expensive.
Okay.
You can get $1 million coverage for, probably $100 a month or something.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Not bad.
Yeah, and I've actually got a link down below. Prime Corporate Services, we actually partner with them. They will actually get you an LLC and get you all hooked up. I'll link that down below.
That'd be good.
So, absolutely awesome, Eric. What is the maintenance on an average machine? I mean, what are we talking about? Is this thing like a Toyota or is this thing like an old Dodge pickup truck?
Yeah, these are pretty much like Toyotas. Your Yosong, Jinmega, great machines. Paloon, those are good. Tritons have been around forever. Have some printer issues with the Tritons, but overall, I think you can't lose with Jinmega and the Yosong.
If something were to break, what is the most common thing to break on a machine?
The card reader, because it's the most used.
Yeah.
And kids will stick nickels, toothpicks, whatever they can in there. So the card readers are the most common thing that breaks on an ATM.
Got it. And if that card reader were to break, how would you replace the card reader?
Just simply, it's all removable.
Okay.
2 screws, it's out, put a new one in.
And you open it up from the top, you slide this top piece out, and you can actually access that card reader from the back, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and then you just pull it out, plug a new one in, call it a day.
There you go.
You don't got to call anybody,
No.
register it, nothing weird?
No. Anybody can do that. A lot of times we just drop ship these to the location and they'll have a 17-year-old clerk that we've never spoke to on the phone. We walk them through it right over the phone, putting it on.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then what about receipt paper? I mean, I know that a lot of times the person loading it with cash wants to make sure that they're constantly replacing the receipt paper, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, you'd be surprised. A roll of paper probably lasts you, on a machine that's doing 300 transactions, but it'll last you a year.
A year.
It really will.
Okay.
And we always give everybody 2 rolls with a new install.
Got it.
Plus the one that comes with the machine.
Talk to me about bolting machines down. Now, obviously, we're standing in front of a machine right now that you have on a dolly because the ownership here will actually wheel it out. They do rodeos and things of that nature. But you were talking, you've got another machine just inside here. Are you typically an advocate for bolting the machine down? Or
100%.
What do you think?
Every machine should have at least 1 or 2 bolts in it. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. If you're a big guy and you lean against this ATM and some lady put her little baby there on a baby carriage or something, you're gonna have problems when this ATM falls over and hurts the baby or does something or any kind of problem.
Sure.
Because anybody that weighs over 300 pounds leans against this thing, it's gonna fall over. And people do, they think it's bolted and they're not, and it'll just fall over.
And what about a location where they're giving you pushback because they don't want you to drill into their floor?
Then what we do is we take as many heavy sandbags as we can and put them in the bottom.
Put them in the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
And you just go to Home Depot, Lowe's. I mean, where do you just
we
buy
try to get,
sandbags?
you can get like 80-pound sandbags or just 80 pounds of concrete.
Yep.
And just stick concrete 80-pounders. You can get like probably 4 in there. And that's almost
sufficient.
Pretty good, yeah.
When you open the vault, right? So you're saying when we take this key, we open it, and then we type in our PIN code here.
Yep.
We obviously can't do it here because somebody else is loading this machine.
Right.
They have the PIN, right?
Exactly.
But when you open that up, and we'll show them obviously, there's actually a big kind of area in the bottom of the ATM where they can just put sandbags beneath the cassette, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better to bolt. It is better to bolt it down.
Sure. But obviously,
if you're in a hotel and they have super high-end marble.
Yep.
They're not going to let us bolt in the lobby, so we do that.
You'll do that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And those ones usually have a kiosk around them, wooden kiosk too.
Yeah. Sure.
We do all different kinds of kiosks.
So let's just say somebody wanted to get to a place where they were making, 10 grand a month, right? And they wanted to make 120 grand a year. How many ATMs do you think they'd have to own?
That's a good question. That's all varies, really. I mean,
Sure.
you can have guys with 10 machines or guys with 30 machines.
So it really depends on the location.
It really does.
Got it. Okay.
But I have a lot of people that are making that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to show that what's possible if you just put your head down and keep doing it, right?
Yeah. It's been fun. ATMs are fun.
Oh, I'm sure.
The world is your office. You're out places like this every day. You're always going somewhere new. If you hustle and you just find locations, you'll be successful.
You'll make it happen.
You will make it happen.
For sure. Would that be your biggest piece of advice that you think for people is just to get out there and hustle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And travel. Like I used to, back in the 90s, I would get in my car and drive from, LA to Denver and then down to Texas and then back to LA. And I'd have 50 deals in 10 days. Back then we were selling the machines for $10,000. Our cost was about $9,000, making $1,000 a machine.
Yep. All right, Eric. Well, hey, I really appreciate you letting us tour, the business and bringing us to multiple different locations to kind of see what you have going on. Means the world to me. Where can people find you if they have an interest in actually buying one of the toppers or doing anything in that type of thing?
ATMadvertisingalliance.com.
Okay.
My email is theatmguy@aol.com.
I appreciate you, Eric. It means the world, man. And hopefully one day maybe I can get back into the ATM business, even if I just own a location or two, just to say that we did it, right?
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I'm sure. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.